We've been talking in other videos about some of the Hodgkin-Huxley structure. So now we really want to give everyone sort of the opportunity to play with this particular structure. Now, what we're going to want to do is sort of take it from the examples file. There should be a set of working parameters you would see. So you'd start from, the initial parameters ENA, EK. There's a VREF, which is kind of using for some of the current voltage to current structure. There's a voltage input here from the arbitrary waveform generator. Again, this has got to be a level 1 structure, so this is kind of the things that we're going to look for. We have a membrane voltage coming out. We gain this up and referenced relative to this reference that we're putting in, which turns out to kind of give us a rough sort of a rough baseline to work from. It's pretty much mid-rail. It's not particularly sensitive to it. And then ramp ADC on the output. And you can actually get some sort of spikes that'll look like this. Depending on where the parameters are, you're going to see something very similar. Now you can get very, very precise sort of things if everything has all the mismatch calibration done ahead of time, which is not related to this circuit, but is just to deal with the indirect programming. If that's already done, then everything is going to look perfect. It might be a little off, and so if it is, then it gives you an opportunity to say, well, does that mean that I should have shifted my my bias points a little bit one way or the other? Is my time constant a little different? But everything should still be within a near factor, a couple factor 2 or 3, so it shouldn't be too difficult to kind of see that. So what you'd want to be able to do is a couple of things. One is be able to put in a particular input and look at that. Then you want to be able to take the input signal, change the input to be a little bit higher, maybe a little lower in terms of where it's stepping, the step point, and then look at it again. And what's useful is, of course, remember, you don't actually have to completely recompile. If you're just changing if you're just changing a couple of parameters, there's a way to just get it to load, to sort of reload the values again. So you can do this fairly quickly even from the tool framework. But of course you can also do this if this was completely outside of the tools. You can just keep reloading those values. You can also load the values for the DACs and change those if needed. And kind of change some of those elements. Some of the things will be floating gate parameters. And some of those can also be changed quickly depending on which way you're moving them. So my suggestion is kind of get comfortable with the initial spiking structure and then start to see what happens when you move this around. And then one could be very, very structured of all of the next level questions. But the first thing is just to kind of see that we really do have a neuron and there's some really amazing possibilities with the structure.